When tomorrow all the things are gone, the rapture's finally come. Now I get to ascend with at least one child and maybe my wife. I thank the good Lord above to be living at the end.
Thank you, Lord.
Cause the cross still stands for salvation, and it all led up to me. So proud to be a Christian, cause I know my will is free. And I'll never forget the man who died that took all my sins from me. And I'll gladly sin some more with you than I'll pray them all away. Cause there ain't no doubt that I don't care about any of you. From the waters of the sea, to the air that we breathe, across the whole span of existence, it was made only for me. From the atheist to Muslim, and the trans to the gay, Christian pride flows through my veins, so now you should all just do what I say. Cause I'm proud to be a Christian, where they tell me my will is free. Not of the rich man behind, or a church that lies to me. And I'll gladly take a stand with you to attack those not like me. Cause they got holes inside of them, so they're lesser than me. Cause I'm proud to be a Christian, and the old toes just for thee. And I won't forget those comments from those thought they bested me. And I'll gladly stand up, watching you burning in the pit below. Cause there ain't no doubt that's why you'll burn, because of good on me. What up, yo? Hello, everyone out there in the void. How y'all doing? I'm Zach. This is Jimmy Tux, and we're gonna read some Braxton Hunter. The camera doesn't like me. I hope you're all excited to continue reading this fantastic book. How you doing, Jimmy? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. For some reason, my video's not showing up.
It's showing up for me.
It's showing up for you. It's showing up for me, but on the maybe it says maybe it's working just fine.
Yeah,
Hey,
we can all
welcome
see
on
it.
all. Hey, it just shows me as like an empty icon. To
Yeah,
me.
not on the stream.
Oh,
Mrs. Bexington Smythe is perusing it right now, and you're right there. You can kind of see her when she moves slightly. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so it's Tuesday, and now this is a weekly thing now. So now we get to read some fantastic Braxton Hunter bullshit. So, and not speaking of Braxton Hunter, but of other Christian apologists. I might be arranging a little interview between a certain Christian apologist and Michael Beverly, literally as we speak.
wow.
So that'll be cool to see when that finally happens. And just laying the groundwork there. But yeah, was it so? What have I got anything to point out before I start? Well, I should have a parody music video out by the end of this week because the Pope died, so I had to make something for that. And
You move pretty fast. I'm a little bit of a slow mover, and
I've got all the ADHDs, so I have to do 50 things at once. Otherwise, I don't feel satisfied.
I'm looking to get my next project out around the first of the month.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe the last couple days of this month, but it's still just a touch of ways off. But a lot of progress was made this last week. So
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Was it? We'll see if this Christian can actually be honest. I doubt it. We've read a whole third of one chapter, and it didn't happen so far. But today, as you might have noticed from the name, he's I need to show this one because this clip is very relevant.
Moreover, I've never ever been an atheist, and I'm completely aware this is going to sound smug, even though I don't mean it that way. But the reality is, I think I understand the arguments for and defenses of atheist positions better than most atheists. Moreover, I've never ever been an atheist, and I'm completely aware this is going.
There we go. And so as we approach the end of the chapter, he's going to give us our arguments and then defend them. So that's neat. So that'll be good to see, right?
that's good to see.
Yeah. So we'll get to see how accurate Mr. Braxton Hunter is at knowing atheistic arguments, because he's such an honest fellow. So I suppose that's chit chat achieved. These are going to be shorter streams than my Let's Laugh at Theist one.
That's beautiful.
Which actually now are no longer going to be on Sundays. The last one was only on Sunday because it was Easter, and that was a special occasion. They will now be on Mondays, and I was supposed to say it on Sunday, but I forgot because I am a consummate professional.
Right.
So let's get this up.
I am suspicious that my audio. Is my audio going out?
I mean, I can hear you.
You can hear me? Oh, there we go. It is working. It's just low volume. That's all right. That'll do.
And
yeah, I am testing. It is testing properly.
Can everyone in the chat let Mr. Tux know whether his sound and video are working so he can stop being paranoid?
I can be something.
He was an atheist when he was a baby. Well, everybody was. And then we get brainwashed because that's fun. We get brainwashed by our parents. Don't you love that thing? That's a video idea I've been tossing around a little bit. It's like, why the fuck did they get to lie about everything? Good always wins. Tell the truth. All this stupid bullshit and everything's a fucking lie. But yeah.
All right.
Anyway, let's get into this then. Do you want to start rating?
Oh, okay. My eyesight's a little fuzzy today, so forgive me.
Well, do you want me? If that's the case, do you want me to take it? Do you want me to do it?
But I should be able to see it. You just might be able to see up my nostrils because I'll have to use extra.
Well, if it gets too bad, just let me know, and then I can do it. My reading out loud isn't great, but people will have to deal.
Right.
Sorry.
I have it full screen. I might be able to see it if I lean back or something. I'll figure it out. Sharpen up. All right.
Do you want me to do it?
Are we starting at the?
Yeah, just the stage.
At the start of the.
Yeah.
To put it simply, jeez. Wow.
Oh, do you know what? Just before we start, we should refresh everybody's memory. We was talking about the cosmological argument, and as he put it, it's a 3-step thing. Everything that begins to exist must have a cause for its existence. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe must have a cause for its existence. So, I thought we should at least go over that again before we get into that. So, carry on.
All right. To put it simply, if the universe has a cause for its existence, it must be one of two very general types of causes. It is either a natural cause or it is a supernatural cause. Now, when the term supernatural is used here, I am only referring to the cause that is not natural.
I have a bugbear to bear about this. I
Yeah?
hate this shit. God is the most natural thing. He has to be the most natural thing. I hate this playing around with God being supernatural because it makes all their little arguments fit. But
Yeah.
just because God, okay, let's just grant them that God exists in the way they want, right? God exists out time and space and blah, 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 right? Well, he still created nature. And if that's the only way that nature can come into being, then that is the natural way for it to happen. It is not supernatural. It would be supranatural. But nobody says that.
Yeah. If the God of the Bible exists, it needs to be supernatural. But the God of nature,
Well,
or
no, I say the
in
God of the
other terms,
Bible.
nature is created. If there is a creator of nature that
Right,
didn't interact with humans, then that creator would just be nature.
but I think even this outside of universe God that creates everything, if he creates nature, he has to be natural. Like it's just the way it has to be. I find that it's too much playing around with words, so they can
Hmm.
both sound well. It's supernatural. They can sound special and all these things, and it rounds off all their arguments, and I don't like it because he has to be natural. The idea that he's supernatural seems silly to me.
Yes, I concur. And keep in mind, it says implications of the formal argument. So
Yeah.
he wants to use this argument as a piecemeal of in lieu of evidence.
Hmm.
And
Well,
impersonal God
like he
is just
said
what they're.
it. Well, he is a thunder god.
He is a thunder God.
Well, sorry, what? But when he started, the whole book and everything, and started doing his arguments. He even said the core arguments, not the fact arguments, but the core arguments, don't provide elucidation to it being the god to begin with, just a god in general. Do you know what I mean?
I know. I agree.
So, yet if the coming into being of all the natural world is what on the table, then a natural cause simply will not do. After all, whatever natural cause might one credit with the creation of the universe would itself be part of the natural order, the universe, and thus be a part of that which requires explanation. Then the cause must be supernatural. One simply must be a supernatural one, simply because nature cannot cause itself to come into being. So what does this mean? Well, see what he's doing there, because natural order is the universe, right? And it needs explanation, and that's the bit they don't like. They don't want God to have an explanation, so they have to pretend that he's outside the universe and he's outside all the rules and the laws and everything. But if he makes the rules and the laws, then he has to abide by the rules and laws that he sets. And if that's nature, well, he has to abide by that as well, because he is what it is. It's like his own book even says, no, Moses goes, oh, I should go back and tell him. What should I go back and tell him? They go, tell him that you were sent by he who is called I am, right? And in Hebrew, it means more isness than it does I am. So if he is nature, then he can't be outside. Like if he is isness, he can't be outside time and space, because everything runs because of him and because of his will and his power, and everything runs through him, so it must be a part of him. And if he creates everything, he must be part of time, because if he's not part of time, then causation can't happen. So the universe can't be created because there's no causation.
Brilliant. I love it.
Sorry, did I get tongue-tied in words there? I don't know. So all that is in the universe can be categorized under three headings, namely time, space, and matter energy. These comprise the natural world. Though it may seem strange to imagine, outside the universe of time itself, outside of the universe, time itself does not exist. This is not only the conclusion of theologians. Modern physicists agree as well. Notice how he's not pointing out how any modern physicists agree, just stating it. But hey, who cares, right? The thing is, modern physicists do agree that outside of the universe there is no time, because they say outside the universe, if we're just going to assume that it isn't a multiverse, then outside the universe is nothing, and nothing doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist, it can't have time. So yes, they do agree, just not in the way that you would like. Well, that he would like. That's why he's got to not point out any of them saying that.
Brilliant. So, if we cast our minds into a realm in which the universe that we live in, and then we learned about a galaxy that we live in, and we learned about future galaxies and building galaxies and stuff from the technological advances.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see these things still being created. through that time lens,
Mm-hmm.
it is my understanding that the things that we're observing still being made right now, it just took the light that long for us to reach it.
Yes.
So, if we're able and capable of seeing of the development of those things, and nature is the cause of it,
Mm-hmm.
we have a pinpoint approximation of where God was at a certain point
Yes.
6,000 years ago,
Yeah.
because the lights traveled that far,
Right.
correct?
Yes.
So we know that there is an alibi for God to have not been creating and discussing with Abraham at the same time, correct?
Right.
So we have a discovery that essentially Elisha being summoned as in a prophet capability, or King David being offered an exchange for his loyalty,
Mm-hmm.
and the delivering of say, metal chest for us to bounce into war and never be defeated, except we got defeated.
And some statues bow down.
And yeah, type of thing. So that's why he had to send his son.
Yeah. Because, people could get confused.
And so now we're almost to that point where we can see where God was clearly,
Yes.
because we're just starting to see the maturity of that creation while God's creating it.
100% true.
Yeah. So it clearly there is no alibi that God did it, except the alibi God wasn't around, but he's everywhere. So
Yeah. It's all right, though. Don't worry about it. You think about it too much, you'll hurt your head, and you don't want to do that. So just believe this. Like, on Sunday, I was watching, Gary Habermas, and he was telling me that what we should do is just believe in minimal facts, and then, you can believe in God. So minimal facts, and I had minimal facts, so it's 100% true, so it's God. That's the way I see it. I've been listening to Christians pretty solid for 2 years now, and I this is the kind of experiential thinking that I'm gaining from them. Really, really, really sharpens the mind.
yeah, this is a fun argument. I love it.
Right. So, furthermore, matter does not exist. When we say matter, we are also referring to energy. Sort of.
Mm-hmm.
But matter still exists. Because energy
Matter
can
exists.
exist in many forms. And one of those forms is matter. And one of the other forms is like waves and stuff like that do not have a physical presence. So you make the term matter to differentiate the two. So matter does exist. That's like saying that we don't exist because, well, we're made of carbon atoms, and those atoms are made of electrons and neutrons. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Finally, space itself does not exist outside the physical universe. Extraordinarily, the space that you inhabit while reading this book, the space that the Milky Way exists in, and even the space of every distant galaxy did not exist outside of the physical universe. That means whatever caused time, space, and matter to come into being must not be in any of those categories. So, God can't have time because
he's outside of time.
But he made the universe because time is causation. So, since time is only the forward progression of causation, if he made an effect, well, then it has to have a cause. So, time had to exist. It's almost like it says at the beginning of the Bible that he lived in with the waters, and he moved in the waters for a while. And later on, I can't remember which bit it is, but it talks about him fighting like Leviathan inside the waters and stuff like that. It says he does stuff. So if it has causation, then there must be time outside of space because he's doing stuff.
Well, he also did stuff in Eden, and he did stuff with Adam and Eve and Cain.
Yeah, but
and Noah.
Hey, are you a fan of sci-fi?
Yeah, I definitely like both the Star Wars. I'm one of the few chosen ones who like both. I probably love Star Wars as a kid.
Yeah,
but it's been tainted by the Disney.
I think they've both been tainted because they've gone on for far too fucking long.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Farscape nerd, and I really wish that all the Star Wars and Star Treks would fuck off and give the rest of the sci-fi genre some space to breathe.
What is the other one that you're?
I'm a Farscape nerd.
What is that? What is it?
Farscape was a Jim Henson Studio sci-fi made in 1998 to 2002 in New Zealand. It's about a guy who accidentally opens up wormholes and ends up in a different part of the universe.
Are you saying Firescape?
Farscape. F-A-R. Far.
Oh,
like,
F-A-R.
Yeah. I've got a bad English accent that goes in and out of different ones. So I just have to deal. But my point was that, like, what is he, like, God in a pocket universe when he's inside the waters? And no, Eden's a pocket universe. That's it. It's it's closed in on inside of itself. Its causality does not affect the outside. Do you know what I mean? I think
I do.
Yes, Mr. Swift. Farscape is still underrated. It will always be underrated because it was underloved. It was underloved, and it's not fair. Huh. Scorpius is the best sci-fi villain ever, and I'll die on that hill.
4 seasons of Farscape.
All right. Don't watch the films. Don't watch them. If you've not watched Farscape, don't watch the films. They're terrible, and they do carry it on, but in the worst way possible. So just watch the 4 seasons and be happy with the bad ending.
That's funny.
But you know what's great about Farscape though? It's like it takes space stuff, like space fantasy, seriously. Instead of going, look, it's sci-fi, and we've tried to tone it down as much as humanly possible. It's got aliens in it that don't look like humans. It's amazing. I mean, a lot of them do, but some of them don't.
Wow. So
but yeah,
I'm looking this over on the wikis.
Yeah, John Crichton's the best. Dargo's amazing. They're all great.
I have not. Jules? I don't believe I've ever heard of this. If I have, I've drank and slept since then.
See, I'll tell you one thing though. When you start it, if you think it's a bit crap, wait till Scorpius comes in, and then if you still think it's crap, then fair enough.
Deal.
Because like Scorpius is a game changer in that series. It gets weird. It gets weird after he comes into it, and it gets weird like sci-fi should.
Huh.
But anyway, that's a detail.
Scorpius looks like he has a nice haircut, or at least the actor who plays Scorpius. He has a very, very familiar.
So the guy who plays Scorpius and the guy who played Dargo were in a band together while they were making the show, and they actually appear in the show in costume. And they used to play gigs in costume if it was after like recording as well.
Wow,
it's good shit.
Wait. Interesting. He's had quite the career.
Yeah, he's been in loads of stuff. There's something about Farscape having to have people in fucking Mad Max as well.
He plays Moff Tarkin.
Who? Which one?
The person who plays Scorpius.
What in fucking the newer Star Wars or something?
He plays yes, in the newer Star Wars he is the actor behind Tarkin.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Oh, that's another great thing about this fucking show. I forgot about that. Thank you, Mr. Swift. It's one of the few sci-fis where people speaking alien languages is actually a problem.
Interesting.
They have to like get there's bacteria they get, isn't it, in that one? That like makes them understand other people.
Huh.
Great Farscape. They don't fuck about. They just go, no, we're going to fuck with his head. I'm going to fuck with their head. I'm going to fuck with everybody's head. Now everybody's tripping and everything's mental, and it has lasting effects. It's good shit.
Yeah, I have never seen anything he's in.
I mean, that guy who's played John Crichton, he's been in loads of stuff. I think Dargo's been in a few things. I know, like, there's a plant woman in it. And she was like, the warrior woman from Mad Max 2.
I don't know anything about that. I may have lusted after a few Poison Ivy cosplayers, but...
Yeah, well, yeah, she's great in that. I'll sit here talking about fucking Farscape all day.
That's right.
We need to carry on.
All right. Back to the task at hand.
Yeah. Oh, we've got another nice call moment. It's always nice when he stops and he gives us a little box to tell us how we're supposed to understand. Do you know what annoys me about these little call moment bullshit things? He sums them up in little pithy paragraphs, right? So if it's just going to sum up them with little pithy paragraphs, why is he going to fucking go around the houses trying to say these things? So, you know what I mean? It's like, this is how simple my argument can be, but I have to write a book. So, fluff. Excuse me. It's simpler than it sounds. Time, space, and matter make up nature. What are we trying to figure out? What we are trying to figure out, excuse me, is who caused nature to come into existence, not muddying the water at all.
No.
Because it must be a person of some kind. It must be a thinking thing that brings
Yeah.
the universe into existence. Because you can't, let's just say, okay, it's a thing outside of time and space, right? Why does it have to be thinking? Why can't it be unthinking and just make things? Because, well, our God's thinking, so we have to prove it that way, I guess.
Yes. All premise ones need to lead back to the creator God. The creator being named God.
It has to be a God. It can't be anything else. So we'll just assume it's that, and then we'll use language that way. Because as long as we're talking with that language, then your brain is more likely to associate it with being that way. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So the cause can't be anything in time, space, or made of matter. You notice how he's not saying energy there? Before, it was without energy. And now he's refined it. Now he's talking about matter, even though he said matter doesn't exist. And now it's just matter and not energy. God, maybe he realized when he was writing this that actually God needed energy because he made the universe.
He did. He just made it.
Unless he's using God magic. It's just God magic. And that's not energy, that's God magic. It's different. Completely different. Nature is what we're trying to explain. Our cause has to be timeless, spaceless, and not material. Yeah, it has to be none of those things because we say it is that way. I know we have nothing to prove it aside from we thought about it really, really hard. And our thought processes are impeccable.
They found a way to make us believe through just the philosophy thought experiments instead of... Doesn't it seem like it would be much more evidential to just say, you know what? Here is our generation representation of God.
Yeah.
And we can verify the things of God instead of that preacher up there at the pulpit or that apologist in front of a microphone telling us the interpretation of God. We can get it straight from God instead.
Yeah, he's all powerful, but he just really needs to play hide and seek with everyone at once.
Everyone, all at once.
Yeah, he's outside time and space, and he's playing hide and seek with everyone that's ever existed all at once. And he's just sitting behind the veil of the cosmic radiation background we can't see past, and he's just behind it all going, nobody can see me. Like, come on.
Yeah, I'm willing to accept that there are alternative dimensions to the ones that I can perceive.
Yeah.
However, there is evidence in your book that this came straight from the horse's mouth, and it is called the Word of God, which means God has words, which means they came from someplace.
Yeah, but it's immaterial, though.
It would have to coincide with time, though.
Well, yeah, because you have to have time to say the sentence. You know what I mean? To bring things, you can't say it out of order. We've all seen Evil Dead 3. You know,
I don't know that I have.
Well, have you not seen it? Wow.
Andy needs money. Brilliant.
Well, you know, you just got to find the slot in the cosmic radiation background, and you put your quarters through, and that's how God. You know, it's like the old school jack off boxes at like a pawn store. You know what I mean? You slot your coin through, and then the thing comes up, and you get your dick ready, and then God's there going, and then you do your business, and then you get to be a believer for the rest of your life. I've removed it. I keep on clicking the wrong fucking things. Right.
Yeah, when you do that, now I already looked on the stream, but what I see on the studio is I show just a gray box and it says offline. But my audio feedback button is working.
Well, you
It's the
see,
weirdest thing.
yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah. It's
I can hear you. They can hear you. We can all see you. Maybe it's just the connection shit on your computer, because you were saying it was being a bit cramped to begin with.
yeah. It might be. Can you see what I see? Do you see what
Yeah,
I
that's
see?
weird.
Is that weird?
Yeah.
So it's almost like I'm not even here, and I'm outside of time, space, and matter.
Oh, damn. What? He's God.
I'm God.
Oh, praise be. Fuck
The
out.
unfortunate thing is everybody else can see me. I'm the opposite. I'm like the inverse of God.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
else can see me and hear me, but I somehow can't see myself and be myself.
Oh, wait. You mean you're the Antichrist then? 'Cause
I'm
that's God.
I am the anti-God.
That's why he's come to deceive us. He comes in, he goes, "Hey, I'm quite a nice, reasonable chap." Really, he's the Antichrist, and he's the downfall for us all.
Just so you know, I am not the devil, but I just play one on BS Lewis's channel.
Hey, you got that role through hard time and hard practice of ruling hell, sir.
Right.
A simple explanation of why this is so will help us clarify the case. Well, I always like simple explanations to hard and non-intuitive.
I do. Yeah.
If standing behind you were a beautiful painting and I asked you what caused the painting to come in existence, how would you respond? Clearly, you would say that some skilled artist was the evident cause. Yeah.
That's how I would assume. Yes.
I would assume this, yes.
Yes. Yes.
I might, however, retort that the red dot in the upper quadrant of the painting caused its existence. Perhaps the blue line at the bottom was the cause. This would strike you as absurd. Nothing in the painting could have caused the existence of the painting. Undeniably, things in the painting cannot cause the painting to exist, precisely because they are part of what was created. Similarly, time, space, nor matter could cause the universe to come in existence because they are part of what was created. I always love variations of the watchmaker argument.
This is. I have always been represented this question, commonly anyway, with the fact that a Rembrandt and a Picasso cannot sit by side in a collection or a museum and procreate, no matter how you do it. And if the building needs a builder, they can't hang on the wall of that building that was created by a building and create some sort of hybrid between a painting and a building, and a blessed mural appears on a wall.
Yeah.
Now, I, on the other hand, I came from a source that was a little piece of mom and them and a little piece of dad and them, and there was a creation story where I was conceived in a world that I did not comprehend, the world that I'm currently in.
Mm-hmm.
And I fully expect that even though I haven't, as far as I know, have not replicated what my parents did, because I have stepkids instead of biological kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume I still have that same capability. I've seen the evidence that I do. So have others. I have better evidence than I do that I'm on this live stream right now.
Yeah.
So the painting that has the representation of a painter, we are seeing where an artist, aka humans, and technology, aka computers and servers, and programmers, have all gotten together and created something that's very similar to humans painting.
Yeah.
Very, very similar.
But that's still inside time and space, though.
And that's inside time and space, but so was I when I was in the womb, but what time did I have? And what space did I have? Space within something else. And I have evidence that that something else still exists.
Mm-hmm.
And not only has it existed, but I've gotten to hear about it since I've left
Yeah.
in the form of uterine cancer, for instance.
Yeah. See, the thing I don't like about this is, so the Bible says that the God made Earth and everything we see from the waters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the waters existed, so that had a time and a space, and it had matter in it. And he separated them, so he had to use energy. Their own Bible goes against these type of arguments, and they act like that's not the case because they don't give a shit about Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, how
Right.
can you
That's a
make
good point.
How can you make these kind of arguments when your own Bible says that you're full of shit?
Yes, Braxton is not focusing on Genesis in this argument. He's focusing on the love of Jesus deep down in his heart.
Yeah, because he's like every atheist. He knows that Genesis is full of shit, and he's like, "We'll ignore that. So we'll accept science and we'll accept philosophy, things that aren't in the Bible, and we'll go against what the Bible says because it's inconvenient to the things that we found in the world and that we're not supposed to care about."
Similarly, space.
Similarly,
time, space, or matter could cause the universe to come into existence because they are part of what was created. So, since a painting is inside of a museum or a private collection, and was made a long time ago, that means because the painter no longer exists, that God no longer exists?
Well, it's the fun about half-baked fucking thought experiments. If you think about them at all outside of the bounds that they want you to, they fall apart very quickly. It's like he says, "Hey, that red dot could have made this painting, and the blue dot could have made it.
The blue line and the red dot, yeah.
Right? Yes, the paint itself can't do it, but it can inspire. The amount of paintings that change because, oh, that's a shitty dot there, or I've spilt a bit of tomato soup here, or whatever, and then they have to make all this other stuff because they get inspired to do other things and make other things.
Wow.
God doesn't get inspired; he just makes things once.
Oh, page 16 of 198. Thanks, Zach. Shaking fists.
I mean, I cast the line out. Who wanted to do it with me? You responded.
Sucker!
Yep. And now you got to sit through it all.
We're almost done.
We're almost done. Thus, the cause of the universe must not be in time. It must instead be eternal. This cause cannot be material, but non-material. Whatever brought the universe into being must not occupy space. It must be spaceless. For these reasons, it is clear that the cause of the universe must be eternal, non-material, spaceless something. Unless the universe is like cyclic and it constantly remakes itself of a kind of a heartbeat fashion where it expands. And then loads of supermassive black holes start appearing at the center of galaxies. Then as galaxies collide into each other, they get bigger. And like the biggest black holes we know of dwarf some of the biggest stars that we've ever seen. So I don't know, maybe the universe would start to pull itself together in 1 trillion or 2 years. Like if it was something like that. But we can't think about other things. It has to be the Big Bang created everything in an explosion, or God. There's no other ways.
None.
Yet, if the argument only brought us this far, we would surely be at a loss. What we need to determine is what sort of things fall into these categories. I mean, it feels like he spent the last page and a half, saying that, but we need to fluff it a bit more. There are a few things that, besides God, that could would fit the bill. Abstract items, such as the very laws of logic themselves. Abstract items, such as the very laws of logic themselves, exist in this way to do mathematic principles. I mean, they're not real, so it's not. I don't get how they can act like that's like God. The human concepts made by things in the universe. Apparently, that's bad. I thought.
Bad. That's bad.
In other words, the idea of 2 plus 2 would equal 4 would still be true even if there were no material objects to add. Unless we change the definition of 2 and 4, because they're only human concepts of a representation of numbers. Like, I hate this shit. I hate people treating all this stuff like it's real. So if there's no material objects to add, the law of non-contradiction that A cannot be A and not A at the same time in the same way, that would still be true and existent if there were no things to describe. However, these things do have what philosophers refer to as casual powers. Simply put, they cannot do anything. For obvious reasons, they cannot bring anything into existence. What is necessary is something that falls into these categories, but also has casual powers. The only possible feature that accomplished this is a bodiless mind. Clearly, minds have casual powers.
But we see evidences and examples of bodiless minds all the time.
Bees, ants, trees.
Those are mindless bodies, not bodiless minds.
Oh. Well, I was thinking of hive mind.
Oh, hive mind. Got it. Yeah. Bodiless, a bodiless mind.
Yeah.
So my imagination takes me to the scene where we have a Wizard of Oz type of scene.
Yeah.
That's also used in the I think, is it Star Trek 3?
I have no idea.
What does God need with a spaceship?
Sorry, I don't watch Star Trek properly, so.
Yeah, it's one of the movies.
Yeah.
So, yes. Don't question. Never mind. Pay no mind to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, it's pretty... Well, we got a little helpful thing here underneath it. Core moment,
Star Trek 5. Thank you, Rochester.
Oh, that's not giving me. Yeah, there we go. Core moment. Don't let the talk of math and laws of logics distract you. The point is that the only possible cause is a timeless, spaceless, and not made of matter mind, is a mind without a body. This is what Scripture teaches of God. And it's like, is it? Because I can think of plenty of times in the Bible when God certainly has a body. I mean, Moses sees his body. He wrestles with Jacob. I mean, he literally has a room in the holiest of holies that he resides and lives in because he's inside the universe. But hey. I mean, like when Jesus dies and the cloth is torn, it's representing that God is now available to everyone and not just a priest. Like, come on. He's got a footstool, for Christ's sakes. That's what the tabernacle literally is. It's a fucking footstool. It's the footstool of God.
Wow. That's profound. Well done.
But hey, God doesn't have a physical body because it ruins our arguments now. Forget what it says in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament. I know Jesus says that the Old Testament is what he goes off and what you should go off, but Paul says, fuck it. So that's what we go with.
Right.
Because Paul...
That's true. It's
Jesus. Sorry, go on.
It is Paul who experienced kind of the Roman Empire shunning Jewish behaviors within its some of its massive populations.
Yeah.
And he was one of them. He himself, even if he was a Roman citizen, was being shunned for some of the ideologies he was carrying around.
Yeah.
According to Acts.
Yeah, because he was killed by the Romans eventually, wasn't he?
Acts 18, if I remember correctly.
But I can't remember what my point is. I had a point and it went poof. Paul. Fuck knows.
It's, I seem to remember wanting to research something. Paul, and if I remember correctly, it's Acts 18. Paul leaves Athens.
Yeah.
He leaves Athens because Rome has forced all Jewish descent out of Rome.
Yeah.
And that applies to Athens too. Again?
Yes, John, again.
Hey, we're going down with the
Actually, I
ship.
remember what I was going to say. The Jessica Bell that reminded me. Paul's the only verified way but Paul says that he sees a spiritual version of Jesus, doesn't he? Paul says that he sees like a ghost, a visage of Jesus, right?
Right.
The thing is,
Correct.
Jesus didn't get resurrected in a, I don't know, non-physical way. It's almost like he came back with a body that was touched and people manipulated because Jesus had a physical resurrection.
Yes, this is a point of contention on several things. I actually, this is going to show up, some variation of this is going to show up in my next video. So let me read. Let me read that real quick. Except something's not right here. Except my phone is crashing. That's weird.
Well, I'll continue reading while you...
There we go. So, let's see.
Yes, John, I was there. That's why I have all the answers.
That's why. All right. Oh, for fuck's sake. Wish I could delete some stuff off of this.
He left his blood behind because it was vampires. He got turned into a vampire. That's what fucking happened. Fuck being a lich, he's a vampire.
So on the message with the Paul,
yeah,
there is the moment that Paul's revelation in Galatians 1:11 through 12.
Mm-hmm.
The gospel I preach is not of human origin. I received it by revelation from Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yet Paul never met earthly Jesus. He only met a light on the road to Damascus, according to Acts 9.
Yeah.
And then he has a issue in 2 Corinthians 11:14. Satan masquerades as an angel of light. And my question is how do you know? So Paul's authority hinges on the spiritual encounter resembling Satan's description in his disguised state.
Oh yeah. Well, it's one of the many things that I think points to Paul completely took this thing and took it for his own for some reason. Because like his idea of what Jesus said and Jesus wanted is so different to literally any other person that followed Jesus at the time. It's mental. So, and we have zero to fuck all, like, real clear indications of what it can be, and we can only go off what is said in a very, very untrustworthy Bible and hope to glean some sort of fucking. It's maddening that we still have to give a shit about these fucking things. You know what I mean?
Yes, only 7 of the letters are confirmed to be from Paul. 2 of the letters are maybe. One of the letters leans fake.
One of them doesn't
2 of the letters is known fake.
Yeah.
And then the Gospels are all unknown, probably not from the apostles.
The original versions we have of them don't have the names, the type either.
Correct. Yeah, they are. Paul looked at the gift of Jesus and said, "I can do better." I firmly agree. I firmly agree with that.
Hold my wine. I can
hold my wine. Yes. And in fact, something that I'm going to present in my next video is also that the metaphor tent maker is potentially a reference to housing, being the being of the house of idols in Jewish lore.
Yeah.
It's a little conspiratorial, I must say, and the conspiracy part's not going to be in but the term tent maker is actually that you are building a house for false idols.
Huh. Interesting.
So anybody who sees this and then sees my video coming up, that is one of those hidden behind the curtains.
Yeah.
Pay no mind to the man behind the curtain. Little details and facts that you secretly know from the secret knowledge of Jimmy Tux.
Cool beans. I look forward to it, man. Do you want to carry on reading?
All right, where are we at? From the clear implications? And the yellow highlighted
Yeah.
there? From these clear implications, the universe must have a cause which is an eternal, spaceless, non-material mind. At the very least, this is what an Orthodox Christian theist means when he refers to God.
What's a Christian atheist?
So here's, it's not atheist. Did I say atheist?
No.
Christian
He
theist.
says Orthodox Christian
Christian
theist.
theist.
So
yes.
that, to me, means that there's an Orthodox Christian atheist. Or maybe it means agnostic, maybe. But
the New Testament does not suggest that in the beginning of Jesus.
No.
It suggests that it just assumes that God is still consistent and ever being, just like in Genesis 1.
All of the Old Testament treats God as he is a person and actually describes him. You know, like he goes from, in the earlier books, to being a young, virile man that is able to wrestle and doing all this stuff, to being the wise old wizened, fucking big bearded man on a throne in the clouds. And you know what I mean?
I'm going to... Oh, hey,
Hello,
BS.
Dave out there.
BS. We were mentioning you. Who's that big bull's little special Satan? Hey, I'm going to be right back. My dog just came down and looked at me like, it's my dinner time. So
no worries.
I tried to walk the dog before coming on.
Yeah.
And she went out and threw up a couple times, so I just assumed she wasn't that hungry, but apparently she's hungry.
Oh, she'll be hungry now. She's emptied her stomach.
I know. Yes.
Well,
all right, I'll be right back.
Dog. I'll do this.
All right.
Now that he's gone, let's all slug him off. The cosmological argument I have set forth may require some review in order to fully appreciate, but it should be understandable to any thinking person who is willing to devote a little time and consideration to it. Oh, it's so complicated. It's so overly complicated. I needed to spend all of 5 seconds. Like, how the fuck do these people, like, is it like a... Does he know that he's talking to complete idiots? So he's giving him a little pat on the back going, I know that it's very hard to understand, but you'll get it eventually. Or like, is he trying to blow you a little bit? Like, oh, this is so hard. Oh, you figured it out so quickly. Oh, my smart little boy. Do you know what I mean? It's like either extremely, it's very condescending in a variety of manners. So, you gotta love one Braxton Hunter. Sorry, Hunter. I definitely didn't mean to do that on purpose. The truths that spring forth from these revelations are the sorts of things that have caused agnostics and atheists to say very theistic things. This well-known quote from Robert Jastrow is a fine example. For a scientist who has lived by his faith in the power of reason, the story ends like a bad dream. He has scaled the mountains of ignorance. He is about to conquer the highest peak. As he pulls himself over the final rock, he is greeted by a band of theologians who have been sitting there for centuries. And, because, he's, look, we come to all the answers, and we've come to God, obviously, and this amazing learning and astounding thinking brought one Robert Jastrow to be an agnostic and not a Christian. Funny that. I always love, like this guy, or like they like to point to like a Graham Oppie or whatever. They go, look at that physicist. Did you see that physicist or that atheist or whatever they said that this made them like us? And then you look it up. And then, of course, it's not true in the slightest. It turned them into agnostics. But if they don't mention that they turn into agnostics, well, then you assume that it turns into them. Because a Christian is telling you the story, and he's just said, at the very least, this is why any Orthodox Christian theist means when they refer to as God. Implying, of course, that this guy, came to the the gates of Jesus. But of course he didn't. He became an agnostic. And of course we're talking about a quote that comes from 1978. I always love this shit. They're going to go back so far from these things because they're going to go back to people that didn't understand all the things that we understand now. They're going to go back further and further. And the more we learn, as long as the idiocy and alternative facts haven't ruined society and brought us all into a ruinous rubble, then we might actually get some good shit going, and maybe the world will get better. But fuck knows. Am I going to the Pope's funeral on Saturday? No, John, I'm not. I wasn't invited. I was very sad. I sent an angry email. I thought that I should have been. I asked very nicely. No, I complained, but I'm hoping that I shall get my Another Pope Bites the Dust song out on Saturday because it is the Pope's funeral. In, of course, recognition and love of one Patrick Francis, whatever his fucking name is. So, so hopefully that's out Saturday. Hopefully. I've been having trouble recording the singing of it, so we'll see. And then the video might be a bastard. But who knows? Who knows? That is so unfair. It is so unfair. I am a loving, devoted follower of Christ, and I should be brought in to the fold. And, if they brought me into the fold, I would stop spewing all these lies because, like every atheist knows, God really exists, and we're only lying to ourselves, but we are but only fools that say things in our hearts, or whatever bullshit they say. Hello, Mr. Tuxer. Is your dog pleasantly fed?
Yes, I believe so.
You are very loud.
I just realized that I was on the Mac.
You are very loud.
All right, hang on.
Very loud. Offensively loud.
Sorry.
It's all right. I just worry about the listeners' ears.
Sorry, folks.
No, you're still loud.
Let me do...
Oh, you're a bit better, though.
Is that better?
A little bit, but not much.
It
sounds like you have a completely different mic on, to be honest.
I just realized that it was drawing from the new Macs instead of my Yeti microphone. So, and so settings are all a bit askew. So let me turn down some gains here and make sure that. Oh yeah, that turned it up. I've got my gain all the way to the minimum.
He's having all the technological fun today. God is trying to smite us.
Yes, it is definitely God.
He's coming down and defending Braxton Hunter. And maybe really we should all fall upon our faces into the floor for the glory of the Lord. He's outside the universe, but he definitely affects the things in it, like your computer.
I could be wrong, but I bet my computer is the least of a real God's worries.
No, because we're spewing out all these horrific lies, and it troubles him because he's like Superman, and he goes up in space, and he can hear all the people crying.
Nice. Well, we should definitely worship him and believe he exists based on a...
Do you know what? I would. I can't get off the floor. Yes, I can't get off the floor. I would. Do you know what? All the evidence for God is just so obviously there, but this book is so bad that it's making me not believe. That's what I'm gaining from all this.
That is what I should gain as well. All right, how's my audio?
You're still a bit loud.
Still a bit loud. I'll just back the microphone off and do it that way.
I can see how. No, it's because it's how much that's on there. I don't know. How's this? You people in the audience, how's his audio? Is it okay for you? If it's okay for you, I'll just fucking carry on. Let us know.
I could turn down my...
Because it could just be me. I don't know. So...
I've been coming in so quiet.
You sound better, though. I can't get up. Yes, I live that every day. So, core moment. These objections can get kind of technical. We're fine. Mr. Swift says you're fine, so I'm going to stop bugging out. So we're gonna get to some objections. You looking forward to objections?
I'm looking forward to objections.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I am.
So fucking maybe he's going to actually nail our thinking, and maybe me making fun of him saying that he doesn't know our arguments is going to be proven wrong here. So, core moment. These objections can get kind of technical. If you're a beginner, it might be good. It might be a good idea to just focus on the actual argument we've covered so far. You wouldn't want to look at the objections. If you don't think you can handle them, just ignore them. You can always.
I have some more whiskey for this.
Yeah, I wish I had some.
I've got some bourbon here.
Should probably open that at some point.
Do a little bourbon and
yeah,
talk about quantum physics and God.
So it's a good drink for it.
Yeah, that's what I said.
So you can always come back to these for these objections once you've grown in your understanding a little more. If you think you're ready, just keep reading. Just don't get discouraged if it's tough at first. Okay. So do you want to read some quantum?
Doesn't quantum physics demonstrate that some things come to exist without a cause? Over the past several years, quantum physics has become a bright hope for the naturalists who wish to remove God as the uncaused cause of the universe. Now, let me ask you this. Is that true? Is that what the purpose of quantum physics or quantum mechanics is? So that we can remove God? Or isn't it
I think you're gay. I think you turned your gate up too high. You're coming in and out now.
Oh, why is that? Is it? You know what? I bet it is. I don't know why, but some computer studios like this refuse to hand over control. No, I don't show that I have it on auto gain control or anything. It did. It's taken over.
Yeah, it sounds like a gate, not a gain. Because it keeps on being really low.
It's adjusted. It's pre-adjusted. Somewhere along the line, something is pre-adjusting the audio and changing it, and it's changed it.
It's God.
It's God. Yeah.
Yeah. So quantum physics isn't here to remove God as the uncaused cause of the universe. It's not even a bright hope for removing God as an uncaused cause of the universe.
It just seems like it's some sort of boogeyman that the preacher from the pulpit is trying to use.
Well, yeah, because people who understand quantum don't even understand quantum. So these people trying to talk to people about it, they've only heard it I've got a quantum razor and it has 5 blades and it moves through time and it cut your beard yesterday. That's what people think. You know what I mean? They don't think of particles and fake particles and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I saw a short the other day, yesterday, I think, about a professor introducing quantum physics in class, and he said, he basically quoted, I think Feynman, that this is just something we don't understand. The best physicists in our eras really don't understand this. He says, I'm your teacher, I'm your professor. I don't understand this. But for the next 7 days, we're going to study it. And then I'm going to send you out into the world with all your newfound ignorance, and you're going to spread the word too.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely brilliant.
It is. It's 100% true. Well, we kind of think this, and we kind of think that, and maybe string theory, and maybe it's trials and legs of time. Maybe it's multiverse. We don't know. The math works for everything, so it's fun.
Brilliant. So yes, I know watching documentaries on quantum computing that it is not. I understand a few things that it is not. I don't understand what it is.
Yeah. Well, because quantum's a very big field. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It covers a lot of shit. It just means subatomic. So, quantum computing just talks about quantum entanglement of electrons and passing information through that. And that stuff's insane. That stuff is starting to pass like information quicker than the speed of light. That's a thing. If we don't all die in the next 10 years, it's going to get really good when we're old.
Right.
We're on the cusp. We're on the cusp of things if we don't get held back.
It'll finally be good.
Yeah. Don't carry on.
All right. Where was I? Many have tried to postulate unconventional theories of time and space in order to reject the truth of premise 2. By recently, quantum theorists... Could you enlarge this just a little bit? My glasses are not cooperating. My eyesight's not cooperating.
I made it a little smaller so I could see the chat as well.
That's better. That's better. Tried to postulate unconventional theories of time and space in order to reject the truth of premise 2. But recently, quantum theories have challenged premise 1 by asserting that it actually is possible that the universe came to exist uncaused out of absolutely nothing. Most famously, theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking argued the following. Because gravity shapes space and time, it allows space-time to be locally stable but globally unstable. On the scale of the entire universe, the positive energy of the matter can be balanced by the negative gravitational energy, and so there is no restriction on the creation of whole universes. Because there is a law like gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing in the manner described in Chapter 6. Spontaneous creation is the reason that there is something rather than nothing. Why the universe exists, why we exist, it is not necessary to invoke God, the light of blue torch to set the universe going. And then there's a footnote 6.
Yeah, that's just saying what it's from.
That's
from 2010, the Grand Design.
However, there are a number of problematic statements found in Hawking's comments which demonstrate a misunderstanding of the cosmological argument.
But he's not talking about the cosmological argument.
Yeah, he's talking about what they found so far. And he's probably even saying that this is a fraction of what is to know. He's not saying, hey, we found this and it's definite. It's law. It's God.
Yeah, but you see...
It's not God.
Yeah. Well, he thinks he's clever because he thinks, if I can debunk a paragraph of Stephen Hawking, then that means that he fully understands what he's talking about. And he's like, the thing is, right, did you notice that he says, because there is a law like gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing in the manner described in Chapter 6. So, instead of actually going to Chapter 6 and taking a bit where Hawking describes how his theory could create universes and discussing that, he talks about it where he takes a bit where he talks about it in very brief and tries to debunk that instead of debunking what he actually said.
Very, very slippery.
Because, why would you want to do that? Because, Stephen Hawking might talk about, actual forces of gravity and whether it's a particle or a force or whatever it is. There's all these other questions that might be discussed in Chapter 6, but he would never know because he's never read the fucking thing. So, first Hawkins argues that because gravity has the power to shape space-time, universes will result. This shows that he understands the cosmological argument only to be aimed only at the material aspects of the physical universe. What? Because Hawkins is also one of those people that says that the universe might be cyclical, but we don't want to mention those sort of things, right? Because, even what Hawkins is talking about, his own theories on gravity kind of disprove that. Because Hawking radiation, turns out that Hawking radiation exists. So
I was going to offer, I actually just so happen to have this argument bookmarked from Professor Plink. Do you want to hear this?
Yeah, go on then.
Do we want to do a share?
Yeah.
Share a screen and...
you can do that, right?
I am doing it. You might have to place me on.
Existed. So this syllogism doesn't apply to God. So fine, we'll ignore that. But we're still left with the question of, does anything begin to exist without a cause? Well, yes, in point of fact. It may seem counterintuitive, but physics tells us that things can come into existence uncaused. Specifically, quantum mechanics has proven the existence of virtual particles that seem to come into existence randomly and uncaused, and pop back out of existence just as randomly. This seems so counterintuitive because this only happens at the quantum level and runs completely counter to the laws of physics we observe in our macroscopic universe. But still, existence is existence, and these particles do exist. So the absolute statement of premise 1 of the Kalam is already busted. Things do in fact exist that seem to come into existence with no apparent cause.
Now, that's just not true.
Because I think he's probably going to say some variation of that, but but go ahead.
It's that. Well, no, I was just going to make fun of it and just say, well, no, all these vertical particles it's all the angels and all the people, playing fucking pool in the heaven, and then every once in a while you miscue and the pool goes off the table and boom, virtual particle. It's just there's so many people in heaven and there's so many angels who just going pop, 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 pop. It's like popcorn.
Brilliant analogy. Yes. My cue ball went missing. Where did it go? Oh, it's back on the table.
Oh no, it made a neutron. New ball. Was there more to that?
I'm sure there's...
And even at our macroscopic level, there still exists the possibility that things can begin to exist uncaused. Science is still unclear as to the exact nature of dark matter, but we do know that A, it doesn't interact with the physical world the same way normal matter does, which would make it illogical to assume it has to be caused the same way normal matter does, and B, it accounts for up to 27% of the entire universe. What if we were to find that dark matter doesn't, in fact, have a cause, much like the virtual particles in quantum mechanics don't?
So, I don't want to go through all of this video, but I don't know. The problem with that is that's too speculative, that last bit.
Yeah. Everything in this field is well, it kind of goes back to the analogy I gave with the professor. Nobody knows anything.
Well, I think
everything's a Rorschach test at this point when you're trying to put any kind of equilibrium to it.
I can't. So
and compare it to God and a creator.
See, when he's going about, it can't create matter at it's not a subatomic level. But the thing is it does create things at a non-subatomic level. When quarks, I can't, is it a muon? Is it I can't remember which kind it is. When it pops into existence with the other ones, right, and they interact with each other, they make protons and neutrons. So those protons and neutrons are made from things that have popped, those virtual particles that have popped into existence. So they're made from nothing. Because it's only like a 1/quintillionth of a second that it takes for that virtual particle to boof. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I think I do.
I looked this up for a video fucking the other week and I can't remember half the names. It's the problem, because it's a certain type of quark and it interacts with another certain type of virtual particle to make another kind of virtual particle, and then those virtual particles make protons and neutrons. So that is to say, the tangible substance that we think of when we think, when we usually think, that is to say, the tangible substance that we think of when we, that doesn't
usually refer to physicality.
Is that? Oh, is that on my screen? Oh, no, it is. Nevertheless, what the argument addresses in actuality is the totality of its contents and makeup of the universe itself. Gravity is an aspect of the physical universe which is contingent and requires explanation. Is it? Is it contingent? What's going on in this thread? We're making fun of Braxton Hunter's book.
Yeah.
How you doing?
So good to see.
And talking about quantum mechanics and the cosmological argument. So that's fun. So Similarly, the existence of positive and negative energy requires explanation. Hawking sees the energy of the universe to have a balance of zero because the positive versus negative energy. However, this is not net zero, in fact. Zero would be no positive and no no negative energy in existence at all. See, I haven't read this book, but I'm willing to bet what he's actually talking about is like when you say positive and negative energy. If it's not just talking about like in a fucking atom and the positive and negative charges, well then matter and antimatter come to an effective net zero in the universe. And in fact, is one of the possibilities of what the Big Bang was matter colliding with antimatter and going boom.
Boom.
And because of that, we are left with a net zero thing of positive energy, comparative with negative energy is what it's talking about. But hey, that might be all in the chapter 6 that he didn't bother to read.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. I didn't skip ahead myself.
No, I mean the chapter 6 that he didn't read of the Stephen Hawking's book.
Oh, the chapter 6 of
when he explains it all, he's like,
you
don't need to worry about that. I'm not going to confront what he actually says.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Do you want to read the next bit then?
All right. Hawking sees the energy of the universe to have a balance of zero because the positive versus negative energy. However, this is not zero, in fact. Zero, in fact, would be no positive and no negative energy in existence at all. Finally, the physicist seems to be unaware of the cosmological argument addresses the existence of space and time. In order for there to be a balance of energy, gravity, and any sort of activity at all, there must exist space for the interactions to occur within. Yet, the existence of space itself is the existence of something. What Hawking calls nothing is not actually nothing.
But what about?
I would bet your 100,000 pounds and my non-existent $100,000 that point right there, is not what Hawking is stating.
Not. I mean, he thinks that he's talking about the cosmological constant because he's talking about the start of the universe, when Hawking's is like, it's, oh my God. Just because they both refer to the same thing doesn't mean that's what he's addressing.
Yeah.
Like what he's talking about, in order for there to be a balance of energy, gravity, and any sort of activity at all, there must be space for these interactions to occur within. You mean like separating the waters from the waters? Because the waters were there, unless the waters were static. It was just like, not ice, but just like water frozen in time.
Well, with like, just to put a spin on this.
Yeah.
It's springtime in Chicago, and one of the deceiving factors about how much mist that we've received, it is impossible to separate rain from mist.
Yeah.
But it is in distinguishing it and experiencing it, able to be differentiated. But it still shows up on a meter that you measure 100% humidity, the same thing.
Yeah. But like, that's still all physical. So God trumps that, you see.
Yeah, Trump. Yeah.
It's always good to have that
God.
God where you could go, hey, that's just physical.
Hey, trust me, bro. It's God.
It's God. It's just God.
It's God.
We've got no proof of anything, and we've got no proof of anything outside the universe. But it's totally there because somebody wrote it in a book in the late Bronze Age, early Iron Age 1. And you know what? They really had all the answers, all of them. We've never found out anything since, and we've remained completely static. And, I still spit on my wound to cure it.
Yeah. Well, it is my understanding that the likes of what Hawkins is talking here is, it may appear that there's nothing, but there is never nothing found. They always find something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like there's radiation, there's fucking, gamma waves, there's fucking, there's all sorts of stuff. And like, nothing doesn't exist.
Nothing doesn't
Nothing's
exist.
what's outside the universe. But
yeah,
the thing
there might be.
It's like, sorry, go on.
The aquarium that our universe or cosmos is residing in,
Yeah.
may have something in it, but it's incomprehensible to us.
Whoa, what are you on about? It's an anti-aquarium.
And honestly, aquarium is putting a nice spin on it. The way I look at galaxies swirling, I swear we were flushed.
Do you know what my little conspiracy about that is? Is that we've completely misunderstood the universe, and that actually each galaxy is a universe, and we're just able to see the multiverse.
Oh.
But, you know.
Well, the thing is yeah, I could understand that, but
like I said, it's a conspiracy theory.
I always picture the multiverse as you know, a little bit more like we have 26 letters in our English alphabet.
Yeah.
And the same alphabet is being used, but instead of A being the first letter, K is the first letter in the, you know, and you could have an infinite amount of sequences where our alphabet is the same, but different arranged.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's just, you know, over here, you know, my name's Zach, and then the universe that's here.
Yeah.
I don't. See,
and for instance, and I also feel like you can jump multiverses. Like, there's our lexicon is quite an unusual, you know, thing, and there's a word that has popped up, and I'm drawing a blank on what that word is. But I've always known just a simple, a simple reference to a word. I've always known it all my life, and then all of a sudden it's used differently. From one day to the next, it meant something different yesterday and today. The one that I use the most common, which, you know, you seem to have a sense of humor that can. Now, if 5 years ago I was in the car business, and I talked about getting a client right where I wanted them, and I referenced to getting a good commission because I had figured out something. And I used the term, I had the guy pegged. Fast forward a day later, and I said, I got the guy pegged. It changed to this metaphorical, a demeaning term, instead of it being a success, it meant something sexual that came out of nowhere. And it's words like that. The way words are used go from one day to the next.
Yeah, but he's a Christian. He doesn't care about tone, inflection, context.
Right.
You know, contextual clues of body language. No, you know, Braxton Hunter and his ilk, they don't care about such things. They're simple folk, and they care about simple things. And the more complicated you make it, the more likely it's to be not true. So,
wow. All right. All right. What his work amounts to is a redefinition of terms so that a victory for naturalism can be claimed. Is that, you know, I don't feel like I see scientists spiking the football.
No.
Very often.
Some of them definitely do. I mean, some of them definitely do. Lawrence Krauss, for one. But but for the most part, they definitely don't. Because they go, hey, we don't fucking know anything.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like science is always, you know, I would love it if they came out and said, well, this is factual. But a lot of times they're like, well, this is now what we believe, but we're exploring some other avenues. And finding out more information about what information, you know, comparing it, juxtaposition between previous information.
Yeah.
Seems like it's always a good thing, in my opinion.
Well, see, because the thing is, it is. And they know that as well. But that's why their arguments change, right? That's why Genesis was very true. You know what I mean? And Adam and Eve was there until we went, hey, we've got these writings from like 30, longer than that. You know what I mean? We've got to go back Tepe and look at all this stuff that's 15,000 years old. And they go, all right, maybe the world is older. We've got dinosaur bones. Okay, maybe evolution's true. Like, We keep on proving stuff, and they have to change what the world is. The world was flat. The world was this. This is what an animal was. This is what this was. And every time we find out something, they pull back a little bit more and a little bit more, and they go, "You're the ones that are like, what he's just said, that you're changing definitions." And it's like, that's not what he said at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I challenge you. I'm pretty sure somebody has on their VHS tapes, or maybe even some DVDs, the arguments against dinosaur agings and evolution that I watched in the 80s.
Yeah.
Which I believe were put out by some of the I'm not sure who put them out, but something similar to Answers in Genesis.
Yeah.
In the 80s. And I beg you, watch those and see if there isn't an evolution of arguments just from the 80s to now.
But like even the 90s, even the stuff that Ken Ham made in the 90s doesn't even talk about this stuff.
And then compare the information that you were comparing scientifically or evolution-wise, and compare that information and see if it was a following trajectory of information gathered and more data available, or if there was just flat out dishonesty going on at the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty confident that there were some things that were wrong, but there were also some things that were stated for the record that we now have more information, and that's why it's changed.
Oh, totally. But also, this is why these people still go back to textbooks from the 1970s and go, look what they're teaching in our schools. Because, they don't teach the proper information that we have now, and it makes all of our claims look dumber because they're using none of the stuff that we have now.
Oh.
Anything about evolution selfish gene and memes from Dawkins, they love. Because it becomes much harder to describe, so it's much easier for them to poke holes in.
All right. We're going to read some Thomas Nagel here.
So what Hawkins refers to as zero energy is not actually zero energy. What he calls nothing isn't nothing, and what he thinks is an explanation of why the universe exists is actually an explanation of why it turned out the way it did. This evokes the words of philosopher Thomas Nagel. He writes, the existence of our universe might be explained by scientific cosmology, but such an explanation would still have to refer to features of some larger reality that contained or gave rise to it. A scientific explanation of the Big Bang would not be an explanation of why there was something rather than nothing, because it would have to refer to something from which the event rose. This something, or anything else cited in further scientific explanation of it, would then have to be included in the universe whose existence we are looking for the explanation of when we ask why there is anything at all. This is a question that remains after all possible scientific questions have been answered. And this is from Thomas Nagel. The date's on the next page at the bottom, I think. Whatever. So, again, it's just all inside the universe. And it's like, all right, but you still aren't showing to me that you have any idea that the universe is what you say it is, that the universe came to a start. We're all just assuming these things because, well, we can only look 14.7 billion years that way and 14.7 billion years that way. So at that point there must be the beginning of everything. Forgetting there's other cosmic events we probably haven't even found yet, and it could be one of them. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe. One of the things I always love, about the cosmic background radiation, what if we just haven't built a good enough radio telescope or the next version of a better telescope to be able to see through it? Do you know what I mean? Because what if, when you look 14.7 billion years that way, it's just all fucking interference of all the various bits of gamma ray bursts and all this different shit that's gone out and all these things just interfering with each other, and we at the range of our technology, so we don't know better. What if it's that?
It's got to be that. I'm just gonna
alternative quantum arguments, which seem to demonstrate that something can come from nothing, make the same misstep. The fact that a quantum physicist may say that a given particle came into existence uncaused does not mean that it did. It means that one cannot determine what the cause was. Oh, right. So as long as we can't determine what the cause was, well, then that particle's God too, right? Because we can't determine what started the universe or if it even had a start. So that's God. So if we can't determine, so that quark that popped into existence, well, that's God as well, right?
That's God.
If it works for one, why doesn't it work for the other?
The breath I breathe
because it doesn't
from
help your
God.
argument?
Because God breathed.
This also depends somewhat on what one means by causality. Oh my god, do we have to nitpick every fucking definition of everything so they go, hey, my definition's different from yours, and because I'm using a different definition than fucking Stephen Hawking did when he's not responding to me, well then it means that he's wrong and I'm correct.
I don't like this game.
Right, where are we? If space exists for quantum events to occur in, then space itself is a type of cause. What?
If space exists for quantum events to occur in, then the space itself is a type of cause.
No! That's assuming. Well, of course he's assuming that all these things have reasons for being there because he's a human, right? And it's the same bullshit as, like, you know, a person like him, right, is going to walk through a forest and they're going to be on a hike, you know, and then they're going to get really tired, and then they're gonna come across a tree that's fallen on the ground, and they're going to see like a nice little stump they can sit on, and they go, "Isn't it really nice that stump has been put there for me to sit on? Isn't it really nice that water's here for me to drink? Isn't it really here that air is here for me to breathe? And not, actually, all this stuff is the other fucking way round." He's talking about causality ass backwards because of course he is, because he's talking about God and science ass backwards because he's starting at the answer and working backwards. Oh. Just because a mostly empty vacuum exists that things can happen in doesn't mean that it makes them happen. Oh, look, it's empty space. It makes quantum foam and quantum events happen, so quarks pop into existence. Like, I don't know. For example, if I place a book on a shelf and ask what is causing the book to be suspended in the air, the natural answer is that the shelf is causing the book to be suspended. Space is the shelf that causes quantum events to occur. Oh my god. So the shelf only exists for things to sit on, so therefore space only exists for quantum events to occur in. That, oh my god. So,
all right. Sorry, I missed.
It's all right. You missed a glory that you missed it. So, if space exists for quantum events to occur in, then space itself is a type of cause. For example, if I place a book on a shelf and ask what is causing the book to be suspended in the air, the natural answer is that the shelf is causing the book to be suspended. Space is the shelf that causes quantum events to be possible. You gotta love analogies that, like, what?
Wow.
The thing is, right, is space, the idea of nothingness, right? And not nothingness isn't nothing, but just space, right?
Right.
What did God have to create that concept as well?
So,
or like,
I mean, clearly, if you build a bookshelf,
the waters, so
there's, if you build a bookshelf and the books aren't on there yet, or you just have one or two books on there, like, is there nothing in the gaps? Or is there something in the gaps? Like, if I say, look at all the books on there, and I look over in there, I say, well, there's only 2 books on that bookshelf. Everything else that's not books isn't nothing. I'm just only referring to books as not occupying a bookshelf, which is what a bookshelf is designed for.
Yeah. But no, it's you know, you got to love this passive cause. It's a passive cause.
Mm-hmm.
I know the idea of it is making someone else have an idea to put that there. So that's the cause. It's causing something else to do it because it's a caused cause of a cause. Like, what?
Whether there's a book on that bookshelf or there's just 2 books on that bookshelf collects dust exactly the same rate. Which means there's nothing. There can never be just nothing on the bookshelf. Something is always going to appear magically, just floating through the air. And we see that every time my cleaning lady comes out.
Yeah. Ultimately, none of this demonstrates that something that can come to exist uncaused out of nothing. I mean, if you assume, yeah. Mm-hmm. I know we have proof of something that pops in and out of existence, but because, well, we don't know, because actually, if it does pop in and out of existence, you wouldn't be able to find out otherwise, would you? So, because of that simple fact, that means that actually there must be some other thing that's causing it, right? So it's just like...
So let's look at the trees for a moment here.
Let's look at this
analogy. Zach, I want you to look at the trees.
Yeah.
I want you to observe that when we have a bookcase that is empty of books, but there's just 2 books on there. So we know what the purpose of the bookcase is. And we know what the purpose of the books are. The bookcase was made from the trees. The trees grew up. There was other stuff that made that tree. Even though we may not have seen that other stuff at the moment that other stuff became a part of the tree, other stuff became a part of the tree. And then we humans came around, lopped down this tree, ground it up, some of it for the paper within the books, some of it within the materials used to construct this bookcase. Now, my question is, if a tree is sitting on a tree constructed by trees with dust floating around from trees, is trees our God?
It's all part of the universe, so it's not God.
Yeah. Answer. There was definitely something there. There were a lot of somethings there, and it was previous somethings that became the tree and previous somethings that are all different particles of that tree, all representative within a bookcase that's designed to hold books.
And they're all God. It's all God.
And our God. Yeah. The tree that is our God.
Yeah. Tree God. It's fucking... Oh, right. So...
Did I suck the intelligence out of anybody?
Yes, it does. Do you know what? I start these streams and I'm all full of vim and vigor, and I'm like, let's get this fucker. And then it starts getting to the end, and you're like, oh, the brain drain is real.
I don't need those dang trees.
Do you know what? That's how this fucking guy gets you. That's how this fucking guy gets you. You're supposed to read it all, right? And not just like a bit a week, right? You're supposed to read it all in like, a few goes, because it's very simple, and you're supposed to get brain drain, and then you start feeling dumb. And by the time you get to the 3rd or 4th chapter, you're going, do you know what, George? I do think this is very correct, George. Which way are the rabbits, George? You know what I mean?
I love your Mice and Men impersonation. It is so fitting. This is fitting in that relatively mundane, simple thinking.
Yeah, especially for such a for what he's calling the most difficult one to master.
All right, where are we? We're the first line after this highlighting here.
Yeah.
It is a semantic appeal to how to understand certain terms. These objections misunderstand the cosmological argument. Worse still, the very items that need explanation are admittedly contingent in a need of a cause. And cause is all capitalized there.
Yeah, because it should just be obvious by now. Yeah. All these things are contingent on causes. And God is the uncaused cause, because he is the brainless, physical thing in the void that is no time, that made everything.
Cause. All right. The atheist is trying to say that the universe could have come to exist without a cause because a field of science called quantum physics has shown that some things do happen without a cause. The problem is the quantum physics hasn't shown this. There is a huge difference between something in the universe happening and the whole universe itself coming into existence from nothing. So, perfect. You know what? I actually agree with this. For the most part, quantum physics does not answer whether or not there's a God.
No.
And there is an answer of we could find the best microscope and we can find as many things as we can find out of that microscope. We still need a more powerful microscope. And quantum physics being used as a microscope does not do it for me. Does nothing for me.
Right.
So, as the atheist trying to say the universe could have come to exist without a cause because of a field of science, well, great. Quantum physics is our boogeyman, but I don't care. At the same time, I don't care. This is a field of research that maybe 200 years from now, we have a grasp of what it actually means. Mm-hmm. The tool of AI may even help us get there in less than that time. But this is a very infant knowledge.
Yeah. But the thing is,
stay tuned.
But the thing is you can't just hand wave away quarks. That's all this is. Don't worry about quarks. And it's like, I'm sorry, you have to.
I don't need it.
Until they can prove that quarks don't pop in and out of existence uncaused, then we have to take our best relevant information that we have at the time and use that. And just going, well, you can't prove that. And it's like, well, you can't prove God, but you're still asserting God. So why is the rules different for that cunt and not for us?
Yeah. So I am on the side. The difference is as the atheist, I'm not an atheist to the creator creating something out of nothing or creating something out of stuff that already existed. Well, my problem with it all is God is not the name of that creator, in my opinion. God is merely a name of the Word of God. And I don't believe the correlation between a Holy Bible and the creator being that is commonly referred to as God here does not exist. That God, in my opinion, does not exist.
No.
The creator being still may exist. I'll be agnostic about the creator part. And this is my definition of God. I'm just fine with evolution being and having a first mover. Mm-hmm. I'm agnostic about that. That it just came from the cosmos and we're just natural products of the cosmos. There was no such thing as an initial creator. I'm okay with that too. I'm agnostic about it. I don't really care. Only thing I'm concerned about is there is a God. And the God that is considered your creator as a Christian, as an Abrahamic religion follower, is that being exists or not. That's all I'm concerned with when it says the atheist is trying to say the universe could have come into existence without the cause because a field of science. I could care less about quantum physics on whether or not the Word of God is relating to a creator named God. That's all I'm concerned about. That's what I'm an atheist of. Is the moment you call God in the beginning, God. How many words, how many letters into the Bible do we learn God is the name of the creator? That's all I'm concerned about. That's what makes me an atheist or not.
Yeah.
That's it.
See, if you want to say I'm all fucking that there's a agnostic thing, maybe, but we can prove that God wrong in a multitude of ways that don't need physics. Physics are just extra fun.
Oh yeah. I could live with that. Yeah. We don't pop into existence uncaused. They don't pop into existence uncaused. Yeah. I popped into existence, and I can't pinpoint exactly what my mom ate and exactly what my dad ate. But there is a moment in time which something edible, which came from something else that was dying, created me. So, yes, there is a moment in every single person's life where they were something else that turned into something else that collectively gathered together to make you. And then a little bit of a timing and a little bit of a race course, and bada bing, bada boom. Zach and I are right here. Voices and microphones, technology, interwebs.
My friend.
He's an 8-hour flight and a probably a 3-hour taxi drive away from me.
No, about 20-minute taxi drive.
Oh, you're only 20 minutes from Heathrow?
No.
No.
This airport's closer than that.
Oh, okay. Anyway, who created God? Now, I love this question.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. You want me to believe that there is a being out there that doesn't have a mommy or daddy, just like I do, or doesn't have a creator, just like you are claiming that the Bible gave us our first mommy and daddy.
Sorry, I pressed something in fucking...
You know what? I've got it on my phone because it's a little easier to read off my phone.
Yeah, fair enough.
There we go. So, who created God? One of the more common objections to premise 1 is actually a commission of the tu quoque fallacy. This means is that the critic simply claims that the proponent of a given argument has the same problem that he is asserting the critic has, which is exactly right. I would like to know who God's God is. God has to have had a creator or has a mommy and daddy from a first causer. The watchmaker applies to God just the same. The painting and the painter and the red dot and the blue line applies to God.
Well, yeah, I've always loved this idea that like, and Maverick, to be frank, I'll look up this stuff further. It's just hard to do at the minute, but you've given me something to think about, and I'll hopefully remember to look at it later.
What's this though?
Oh, he's talking about why quarks come in and why that specifically happens only under certain situations and such. It's just it's a bit technical, and I'm trying to do this at the same time as fucking. So I'll look at it later.
Did I pronounce tu quoque properly? That's the way I learned.
But
pronounce it.
But my thing is like, why the fuck is everything nothing can have an infinite regress except for God? Just because, well, the problem has to end somewhere, right? And because like you can't, and I think that's all it is. They just don't want to keep on saying, well, there's another God, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this, because well, there's just eventually a leader. Okay, there's always been a leader God all the way since. Oh my God, I can't remember the Mesopotamian God leader name. Oh.
The Numa Leash.
That's the book. The god that was fucking, because like there's always the overarching god. You know what I mean? Like the god of you might create everything, but then there's like the leader god, and then there's the god of the city and the god of the countries. I'm too dumb. I can't be asked looking it up because we've only got like 10, 15 minutes left anyway. So. Oh yeah. We'll get through, because this bit's pretty short, so we'll finish this, and then we can finish up.
All right. All right, I did pronounce tu quoque properly.
Nice.
You lied about cheating on the exam, but by saying, well, you've lied to me about things too. Rather than responding to the charge, one points out that the opponent has the same problem. However, even in light of this, obvious fallacy, there is a clear defense.
This obvious fallacy.
It's an obvious fallacy.
This obvious fallacy that if everything is caused somehow, then that thing might have a cause as well. Fallacy abound.
What is important to note is that premise 1 claims everything that begins to exist must have a cause for its existence. Clearly, if something did not begin, then it does not need a cause. Since God is timeless and eternal, how do we know that?
Well, no.
How do we know?
The problem.
How do
with
we
that-
know God is timeless and eternal? It was previously discussed. What was the synopsis?
But the problem
Tell
is,
us.
right? The problem with that statement is if God is timeless, time is only the forward progression of causation, right? So without time, he can be created and it still exist forever because he is outside time. Time is neither beginning nor end and has no Planck time, if you will. Always is. So it can still happen because causation doesn't need to happen in the same way that if there's no time. That's the whole point.
So God is timeless and eternal, but he does not require a cause. For the Bible tells me so. Not even that. The Bible doesn't even tell me so. Where do we learn this from? We have in the beginning God, and then therefore he's timeless and eternal.
Well, in the beginning, God was in the waters, so the waters are also eternal.
Well, that's later. In the beginning, he in the beginning, God, he just created. He just came out creating.
So only in all temporal things begin and stop existing. More clearly, time is necessary for beginnings and endings.
That's brilliant. I like that.
So we need time for beginnings and endings, except for the beginning of the universe. You don't need time for that because you had to start everything before the universe and time was, existed because it was created in the universe. So he had to do a thing to do it first. But that's timeless. Don't worry about it.
Integrated information theory.
If I remember, I definitely will.
Yeah. It just seems like God is walking around in Genesis 11. The God that is in the Bible is not the same God Braxton is arguing for here.
No, but they ignore Genesis. You know what I mean? So fuck them, right? Like fuck everything it says. It's only the Bible. It's only God's inspired word.
Yeah, he's manifested for Moses as a burning bush. He's also manifested on top of the mountain.
He does that. He does more for Moses. He appears to Moses. He goes, "You stand behind that rock, and you will be able to see the back of me for a second."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And he has a conversation. Moses has a conversation with him for days, and just like gets a suntan from him.
Yeah,
a god tan, because he's glowing. He was so radiant. Oh, God's amazing. Then Jesus walked the earth, part God, part human, all spirit, or something like that.
Well, it depends on the situation. It's very nice.
So manifestation of a human being is quite possible. But according to John 3:16, this can only happen once, ever. God is so amazing, it can only have one son. Just one. And by the way, the one son I'm going to have is definitely going to get murdered by the Roman Empire. That's how hard it is to kill God.
Well, he's in his bodily form. He was weakened. It was his holy day. It's like in various D&D things. You trap a god, and it's what it's made out of, and it becomes weak, or whatever bullshit.
Whatever bullshit. Since God is timeless and eternal, he does not require a cause. Only that all temporal things begin and stop existing. More clearly, time is necessary for beginnings and endings. Thus, if God exists in eternity, where time is not, then he does not require a cause.
Wait. Since God, was he saying? Sorry, somebody in the chat. Since God's saying God doesn't rely on a proper proposition, God isn't an infinite regress. I know. That's why I said, why doesn't God have a creator? Just because people don't want him to. Like, if everything else has to come from something, then he does. And then that would have to go on an infinitum. Just because people want to believe in a god and want to make up stories about him and want to make up reasoning why all these stories are true and why they have to be. Because, well, if we think about my imaginary friend character logically, then it must logically fit into these things. Except, fuck, we don't know half of the shit, and we can prove that your god doesn't fucking exist. We don't need physics to prove it. All we have to do is ask about things that happen in the Old Testament. And then we could go, well, that bit didn't happen, that bit didn't happen, that bit didn't happen, this is a lie. And when we can do that to your religion, well, then all the other shit don't mean shit because it's built on a fucking pack of lies.
Yeah, here's the thing. The infinite regress of any of this does not apply to Jesus if he is a god, if he can come down in a physical form. It does not apply to evil spirits. It does not apply to bad angels. It does not apply to devils or demons or Satan. And it probably doesn't apply to heaven and hell. So my question to anything that is of God that you don't have evidence for in the first place, then the rules of that infinite regress were violated soon as these other entities are told stories about existing. And I'm told in modern day that there is a warfare still going on to this day between these parties in the real time, in this time full, in this space full existence.
Like, it's just this idea that, like, so what? Why aside? I don't get why, aside from these people want it to be, why God has to be the uncaused cause. I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. They have no proof of this whatsoever, except, well, we think that God made the universe, so he has to be an uncaused cause. It just has to be because, well, we can't think of anything else. You don't have the correct answers, so as our answer that we made up centuries ago, well, that must still be correct. And it's like, what? We've literally proved them wrong at every step of the way, but no, God's still there in the background. He's just outside the universe. So fucking
Ember, you're the best. Yes, non sequitur magic works every time.
100%.
That's brilliant.
Let's get this done because you got to.
Yeah, let's get this done.
Dinners.
All right. Oh my. Here we go.
So thus, if God exists in eternity where time is not, then he does not require a cause for existence. Well, I'd like you to prove God exists, that there's an eternity outside the universe that is timeless, and that's cool. Because, like, just stating that all these things is... Remember, this is not a cop-out. I know we're just stating it all. And the only thing we got to back it up is some leading statements and, fucking arguments. It's so dumb. This is a proper category placement. I know we've created the category, and we've created the being that has to fit into that category. So we have to think of all the rules that make it so that being can fit in that category, and that category can exist. And we have to ignore all other old tales of our God and all that shit. So, just trust me, bro. I'm a Christian. Just trust me. I'm a Christian saying it to you. Why don't you trust me, yo?
I think we've gone way beyond the point of where this world takes us and its comparison to 3 sentences in a syllogism.
Well, yeah, because, hey, it's just obvious if we think about it that way. It doesn't matter that we think of things having a beginning and a middle and an end, because we do. We've created a concept of a universe and ascribed our traits to it and gone, hey, it must be, right? Because you don't know what's before the Big Bang. So it could be Allah, it could be Jehovah, it could be fucking Yahweh, it could be Baal, it could be Marduk, it could
Moroni.
be, all sorts of things. But it's definitely mine because I'm the one giving the argument. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's 2 objections we've got through. I mean, we're starting to get through. What do you think of his claims to knowing atheistic arguments so far from the 2 that he's given?
Well, the atheistic argument, let me just refresh everybody's memory. I don't believe that there's a God. As an atheist, when I say I'm an atheist, I don't believe that there's a God. The argument that there is a God does not move the needle. I do require evidence that the creator of this world, this universe, this cosmos, this, define it whatever it is, where there is appearing to be nothing, but when we start looking in there, we find something. There is, a matter of fact, I exist. I think my parents exist to this day, but someday they won't. And I think you exist. And I think Braxton exists. And well, let's imagine ourselves on this bookcase. Just a couple of books.
Just a couple, but just sat there.
I'm
Nice
all
being up here. Nice
stretched
to be with
out.
you.
Oh, look at all this space on this. Oh, there's a light on. Wow. There's a light. And that light is shining upon me as a book. Oh, look, there's a skin flake from, where did that skin flake come from? Oh my goodness, there's a dog hair floating by. What kind of universe is this? It must have a cause. Yeah, the cause is you're a book on a bookshelf. I'm the owner of this book and this bookshelf. I had it commissioned. It's very designer decor. It blends in with the wet bar. I have a dog, and I have dead skin flaking off of me right now that just so happens to be floating by you. All of these things existed. Guess what? I ate a piece of broccoli back in 1972. I didn't like it. That is the dead skin that's now floating past you. So, yes, as an atheist, I see a development of life turning things into other things. A book is no different. A bookshelf is no different. And you know what? Ultimately, I'm going to be deceased. And I will become other things. And if there is a creator and it is outside of us, then it didn't interact with Adam and Eve. And it didn't interact with Moses. And it didn't have a son that name was Jesus. And that's my conclusion.
Whoa, wait.
Because I don't have any evidence that God was the creator. And Jesus didn't leave enough evidence that he is the son of that creator. And so there. That is why I'm an atheist. So
Right.
presupposing quantum physics somehow make me want to desire something came from nothing. I don't get it.
I just wish these people would provide some hard proof instead of farcical arguments and wild assertions. I'd be amazed. I'd love the Bible to be correct about things, but hey.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let
too.
you go make some dinner while I confront a couple people in the chat about a couple things before I go on.
And you know what? I'm going to take a note.
Because, like, what is it? So was it Judaism being false in no way, shape, or form means God doesn't exist? It certainly means the Christian one does.
Yeah.
Considering that all of Christianity is based on Judaism.
It's
that
the
Jesus
four
was the
pillars.
king of the fucking Jews.
The four pillars of creation comes from Abrahamic.
Yeah, like, he says that I have come to fulfill the law, and the law he's talking about is fucking Leviticus, okay? Also, Master Black, Jehovah is not God's name. Jehovah is Christians being really, really dumb. Do you know about Jehovah at all? And where the name of Jehovah comes from?
That's not the name of Jehovah, huh?
So the term Jehovah comes from some Christians not understanding Hebrew, the written Hebrew language, and how it changed over time. So once upon a time, Hebrew had no vowels, and then they added vowels as little dots.
Oh, I know what you're going with this.
So then you can't say Yahweh. So then you would get the Tetragrammaton YHWH, and it would add vowels, but not for Yahweh or Yahoo or whatever it would. We don't know exactly what it was called. But the vowels that were added were from Adonai, which means Lord. So then when you take the letters of Yahweh and the vowels of Adonai, and you instead of a Y, you take J because it was done by a German, you get Jehovah. Because they don't fucking know anything.
Nice.
So
I learned something new today. I mean, I knew that Jehovah was a Latin representation, but
what was it? Yeah, because like Jehovah comes from a Germanic person. I
Germanic.
I could be wrong on that.
Got it. That would make sense.
That's the same way we say like the J sauce instead of the thingy sauce and all sorts of shit. But yeah,
Greek. It's got to be the Greek.
So you can I'll let you go off and make dinner, and then I'm gonna do other things here. So
Now I didn't prepare anything like I did last week to yell at Braxton about all this garbage because I thought we were gonna get farther last week.
Yeah. It's one of those happens.
I could do a moment of Zen.
Yeah, you go for it.
I could do a moment of Zen. Now I don't know if this is going to be funny for. I don't know if this is going to be funny for somebody from the UK, but for somebody from Chicago, this is hilarious.
Well, I'm from Maine, so we'll see.
You're from Maine,
yeah.
Currently residing in.
Yes.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Let me share my screen. And here we go.
Today to make.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to depart from this this live stream. Zach, it is such a great time to be on with you. 2 hours flies by.
It does.
Like designing a flapping winged little missile with a stabby device that spreads disease and bites you, leaves a welt, and and was one of the most amazing of God's creations. Oh, I see that you've got that there. You know what? I'm going to find this in the short version. Let me see if this is it. Nope, I didn't want that. There is a version of this in a short.
Fair enough. Well,
New at 10 tonight, Sheriff's Deputy.
I'm here today to make an.
Let me try to find it in the short. This is good enough. Yeah, we'll just do this. There. That's perfect.
Go for it.
So, yes, the design of God's favorable creations, the mosquito, I just love it. I would like to thank Bree for the inspiration of that little rant. By the way, she had a meme on for that. And love her. Bowtie bless. Here is Jimmy Tux's moment of Zen.
An important announcement. The world's finest geographers, experts who study the Earth's natural environment, have concluded a decades-long council and determined that a Great Lake deserves to be named after a great state. So today, I'm issuing a proclamation declaring that hereinafter, Lake Michigan shall be known as Lake Illinois.
Damn.
The proclamation has been forwarded to Google to ensure the world's maps reflect this momentous change. In addition, the recent announcement that to protect the homeland, the United States will be purchasing Greenland, Illinois will now be annexing Green Bay to protect itself against enemies, foreign and domestic. I've also instructed my team to work diligently to prepare for an important announcement next week regarding the Mississippi River. God bless America, and bear down.
Watch.
Some good shit.
Yeah, satire is the best equalizer and neutralizer.
It really is. That's why the right wing gobbled up all the failing comedians.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, if I knew we were going to do this format, I should have found a short version of it because I originally saw it on a short.
It's all right. It was glorious nonetheless.
Oh, it was glorious.
I'm here today to make an important announcement.
Let's see if I can find the short.
The best pathways to self-realization and the embodiment of being is to posit the you can conceive of and commit yourself to it. Yeah, that's why I follow George Carlin and David Attenborough.
Oh, David Attenborough is pretty good.
Yes. And not
He is
like
pretty good. I don't
not
watch
like
him
a
very
shitty
often.
book. Yeah, and not a shitty book from 3,000 fucking years ago. And it's really only from 2 because most of the stuff was written much later. But who cares about that, right? And
He
it's better
cross
than the book.
contaminates with Nature Channel on PBS here in the States quite often.
Well, he's a national treasure over it, and we should all follow his light and glory as he leads us into the promised land.
Yeah.
Of jungles
Here
and
we
plains.
see
And have you
the
seen that bird?
residing
It's really
Jimmy
nice.
Tux in the basement of his Chicago, Illinois home.
Here we have one Jimmy Tux in his natural habitat in his basement on the internet.
As long as he has his trusty electronic device that bends his neck forward, he will be in trance for hours and hours looking at a company called Alphabet and their many functions on this phone, along with a reputable company called Apple that will entice him to stare at it endlessly with this bent neck.
Just a sec, wait. This
Only the call of procreation will detract him from using it for at least 2 minutes. Bowtie bless. There's your moment of second zen.
Second Zen. It's so good. We got it twice, yo. Sorry, this guy's annoying me. From the inception of Christianity, Christians have been not bound by the Jewish covenant. So when Jesus said,
Yeah. This is going to be fun.
Not to change the law, I have come to fulfill it.
Not jot to tittle.
Yeah, not one jot, not one tittle of the word of the law shall pass until my Father's kingdom comes here on earth. When he says that, or when he says, my Father said to you, you can't kill a man. Well, I say to you, don't even think about it. When he says all the Jewish laws, and then he makes the spirit of the law that you're supposed to follow, because Jesus was a fucking Jew. And to be honest, even early Christians were supposed to be Jews. It was just, these ones don't have to be circumcised, and these ones do. It's been a while, and you all pretend like it's all fucking different. It's only part of your Bible for no reason. Sorry, a lot of reasons. Anyway. Right. I'll let you go make dinner.
All right. Sounds good. Cheers, my friend. We'll do this next week. The first Tuesday, I will probably be out of town. If I'm not out of town, then we will resume to wherever we left off next week.
Well, let me know, and until then, we'll see you all next week. I've got a new video out tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll have my parody music video, Another Pope Bites the Dust, out on Saturday, and then I'll be streaming on Monday, and I'll be back here with Tux on Tuesday. Tux, anything you want to shill before you go, or? I
am still a ways away from my finished product, but I am a heck of a lot closer than I was, say, a month ago. About the time B.S. Lewis's guest appearance as a voice actor for Satan.
Being Satan inspired you to work better.
I was about 50%-ish when I was about 20% when I recorded the video, 20 to 25% when I recorded for BS, and I was around 50% when the video came out. And I would say right now I'm somewhere between I'm above 75.
Yeah.
Right now. So the intro was done. The first the pretty much the edited points are done. I need to do some recording, and I need to do a touch more editing from that recording, and it's ready to go. And it just, I don't know, I work on it about 15 minutes here and there, 20 minutes here and there. I fall asleep while I fell asleep on my computer last night doing it.
I do that shit all the time.
Yeah. And, set it down and slept the rest of the night. Looked at it this morning and, it's made a few changes, made a few adjustments. There's going to, I am starting to become a pretty good editor in this, and tweaking some of the things that I've learned.
Oh, good.
I learned by doing. I have dyslexia.
That's one of the reasons I keep on getting better at my edits. Keep on getting better because I just go. I make myself try and make something that I can't make, and then I learn, and then I get better.
I can do. You know what? I could share a rough cut. Let me find the rough. Let me find my
Hang
rough.
out. John Lovell, getting it done speedily. That's what we like to see.
Let me see if I can find my rough. No, it's not there. Let me find it here. We can watch this. I don't believe in the intro there shouldn't be any. There shouldn't be any issues. Studio. For content. There we go. Rough. There we go. This is going to be a low quality version of it, and this is not what it looks like now, but give me a screen share.
We'll do in a sec. Just,
Okay.
you know, we have dinosaur fossils that show that we had lizards and bird-like things that were much larger than that. So saying that that's a possibility that can be denied is silly, considering we have proof that it existed before. So, but that's that. And there you go.
Is this man-made? Or is it from God?
Somebody came on, Jimmy Tux is a friend of the show, and he came on one day, and when I first met him, and he's like, how do you know the Bible wasn't written by the devil? And I was like, oh, here we go. And then I got to talking to him, and then Brandon released the video, and I was like, hey, there's some pretty good points here that I like that I haven't heard many people talk about, and I just found it interesting is all.
I think one of my favorites is the fact that when you go to Genesis, according to the book and the narrative, it's the serpent that told the truth.
Right.
Who are the characters in the sort of Garden of Eden story?
Adam, Eve, Snake.
Who's the snake?
Devil.
Right. Why do you think that? It's just sort of traditionally the snake is the devil, but the text never says that. The text never identifies the serpent with the devil.
Interesting.
The concept of the devil, the Satan, the accuser, didn't exist at the time of writing of Genesis.
It's a real pleasure to be with so many who firmly believe that the answers to the world's problems can be found in the Word of God.
That religion diminishes pain, that it is addictive, that it undermines the capacity of humans to comprehend, and that it encourages hallucination. Elephants in rooms, for instance.
This is kind of a thought experiment I like to present people sometimes, and I think Jimmy from Tux TV also likes using this. It's kind of like the trickster God thought experiment.
My task here is the much easier one of arguing that religion is merely an opiate.
Can we therefore conclude that humans are concerned more with having than being?
Even the ones you love today can't last forever. That's why we've prepared this exclusive, hot, behind-the-scenes film. Enjoy.
There you go.
Oh, it's looking
There's
good.
my shill. There's my shill.
So when it's out, you go watch that shit because it's gonna be good shit.
It's gonna be the best I've ever made, without a doubt.
Yeah, good going, man.
Hopefully the good Lord doesn't say, Pope, who do you want to bring up with you here? And he says Jimmy Tux. Then it's never gonna finish.
Yeah, and that would be a shame, and we'd all miss out on the gloriousness that would be brought before us.
Hopefully, Mrs. Tux looks at my computer and says, "Oh wow, here's an unreleased video. I'll upload it for my deceased."
we would have to hope.
Yeah, we'd have to hope. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. All right.
Right
Go
then.
type bless all.
Yeah. Good shit.
Zach, we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Aye. Right. It's been fun, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Oh yeah. I do that, and then I act like I've got everything ready to press.